Lexie, whether it's diving on the floor, tipping balls out for rebounds, all of the little things that you do to impact this game, how do you describe the desire in you right now?
I mean, we want to win. We want to keep playing. We want another game in Vegas, so we're fighting for it. We don't want our season to end.
The Indiana Fever, missing 6 key players, including Caitlin Clark, just handed the Las Vegas Aces their hardest postseason reality check. And Lexie Hull made sure the sting was unforgettable, especially for A'ja Wilson. With Aaliyah Boston putting Wilson in defensive chains and Kelsey Mitchell lighting up the scoreboard, the Fever rose like warriors on a mission. This wasn't supposed to happen. Outside of Indiana's loyal fan base, almost no one believed this shorthanded roster could hang with the 2-time defending champs. Yet here they are, dragging the Aces into a do-or-die Game 5 with a trip to the WNBA Finals on the line. And the best part? Lexie Hull didn't just show up on the floor. She dismantled Wilson's post-game tantrum, calling out the so-called MVP and reminding everyone that Indiana doesn't bow to the league's favorites.
You've got the momentum right now. You can close it out and force that Game 5. What are the most important things here in the fourth quarter?
Keeping them off the free throw line, knocking down shots, and just sticking to our scout. I think we've done a pretty good job of that so far, but just keep it going for 10 more minutes.
Thank you.
What happens when the entire basketball world counts you out? ESPN's analysts dismissed them. Odds makers labeled it a mismatch. The Aces laughed at the thought of a real challenge. But the Indiana Fever, shorthanded, battered, and missing 6 players, including Caitlin Clark, refused to follow that script. This wasn't just another playoff matchup. It was survival. And the Fever played like a team clinging to life, bringing urgency, grit, and fight that no prediction could measure.
You've been in a back-against-the-wall situation just last round where you had to win 2 games in a row. What's the mindset kind of going into this game?
No, I mean, it's desperation. And it's not a reckless desperation. It's just a desperation in terms of the urgency that you have to play with. We have been in these situations. We've been in lots of different situations throughout the course of the season. And our players understand what we have to do. We have to leave it all out on the floor.
Picture the setup. A 6th seed, limping in with barely half a roster, staring down the star-stacked Las Vegas Aces, overflowing with trophies, talent, and swagger. Vegas marched into Gainbridge Fieldhouse ready to slam the door shut. But instead of a coronation, they walked straight into a storm. By the final buzzer, the Fever had flipped the script, stunning the champs and delivering one of the grittiest, most unforgettable postseason wins in franchise history. The challenges went far beyond injuries.
This is a way of getting your game pick.
Oh, Lord.
Do they do it again today and end this thing? 3, 2, 1.
Yeah.
Sir, 3, 2, 1.
The Fever haven't lost back-to-back games, right?
The Fever have never lost consecutive games at home in the postseason. And one other thing, let's show Steph White very quickly. Our incredible researcher, Jenny, went through the tape and found that when Steph White wears her red leather jacket, I do believe we have some video of that, they are undefeated. A perfect 4-0. Does that change your mind at all? Is that your pick?
Yeah. Let's just go with it.
Okay.
No, I'm not. Sorry.
Well, okay.
I can't. Drea, make a pick. You haven't done it. Make a pick.
I tell you what.
Do it now. I'm doing it now.
I'm going to go with you. Okay.
A veteran walked out mid-season for Phoenix, stripping the locker room of needed experience. Officiating has tilted against them for weeks, fueling the sense of an uphill fight. And yet, Indiana never broke. This was their 3rd elimination game of the playoffs. Twice before they'd been shoved to the edge. Twice before they'd clawed their way back. Game 4 was no different. Another trial of resilience. Another chance to prove their toughness. And the Fever answered with the desperation of a team that simply refused to fold. Die.
I can't even lie. After last game, I thought the Fever were done. I didn't know if they had any more fight in them. They looked tired. They looked kind of beat up. And somehow they come out today in their Stranger Things jerseys, which, by the way, I think have magical powers. They come out in their Stranger Things jerseys and beat the Aces. And they beat the Aces even with A'ja scoring 31 points, I believe it was, playing so much more efficiently than last game. And somehow they come out and win this game with their backs against the wall, win or go home game, and force a Game 5 against you.
Execution told the story. Indiana valued every possession, hunted down loose rebounds, and stayed locked in defensively. Their discipline turned Vegas mistakes into momentum, slowly chipping away at the champs' confidence. By halftime, the Aces' trademark swagger had vanished, replaced by visible frustration. Then came the defining play. Becky Hammon called a timeout she didn't have. The whistle, the technical, and the stunned expressions on the Vegas bench said it all. Suddenly, the pressure had flipped. Indiana wasn't the hunted anymore. They were the team dictating the game, forcing the mighty Aces to crack.
Now they're going back to Vegas, but at this point in time, how do you ever bet against the Fever? They've had 18 players play on this team this year because of all of the injuries that they have, and they have hardship contract players that they signed a month ago who are starting for them. Like, it's just kind of it's really just wild at this point. I don't even know how to predict Game 5. They could really pull it off. Could you imagine they go to the finals? I mean, I guess stranger things have happened.
Let's get this straight. Why on earth are the Aces suddenly whining about officiating after spending 3 straight games being spoon-fed soft whistles? That's the hypocrisy staring the entire league in the face. From the opening tip of Game 1, it's been Indiana paying the price. Every time Aaliyah Boston fought for position in the post, the whistle went against her. Every time Kelsey Mitchell battled to stay in front of her matchup, she was hit with a foul for the slightest contact. And who cashed in on that lopsided treatment? Las Vegas. Now, after living off the refs' generosity, they're crying foul? Spare us.
But Aaliyah did say I have a special whistle. She shot 13. Yeah. She said the last game I had a special whistle.
Those free trips to the stripe built Vegas's rhythm, padded Aja Wilson's stat line, and handed them easy points Indiana was never given. So when Game 4 arrived and the Fever finally attacked the paint hard enough to earn their own whistles, the Aces bench reacted like the sky was falling. For Becky Hammon and her crew, the sudden shift felt less like fairness and more like chaos.
Looking at that box score, I'm wondering what's really standing out to you there.
I was looking at the fouls. Like, Liz had 5, Jackie had 5, Chelsea had 5. And that's very interesting to me because I'm not saying we don't foul. Yeah, we foul here and there, but that's very interesting.
The funniest part? You could see Becky Hammon's frustration boiling all night. Every time Aaliyah Boston so much as bumped Aja Wilson, Hammon's arms flew up in theatrical disbelief. By the fourth quarter, her reactions were almost as dramatic as the game itself. Then came the post-game press conference. She didn't bother breaking down execution or adjustments, didn't acknowledge turnovers or missed shots. Instead, she snapped out a single line. They shot 34 free throws. We shot 11. Next question. No strategy talk, no accountability, just irritation at the whistle finally leaning the other way. The moment laid bare an uncomfortable truth. For all their swagger, Vegas has grown used to relying on the refs to keep them comfortable.
For Becky, certainly felt like a differently officiated game than other parts of the series. I think we had more defensive 3 seconds today than any other part of the playoffs. I just wonder how you felt about the overall flow of the game.
Well, they shot 34 free throws and we shot 11. Next question.
Here's the truth the Aces don't want to face. Indiana's free throws weren't handouts. They were earned. Aaliyah Boston battled for deep seals in the paint. Kelsey Mitchell and Odyssey Sims attacked downhill with purpose. The guards drove fearlessly, forcing contact at the rim time and time again. That's the formula. Live in the paint, and you'll be rewarded at the stripe. Vegas, on the other hand, settled. Aja Wilson leaned on contested mid-range jumpers while her teammates camped on the perimeter. If you don't put pressure on the rim, you don't get whistles. Simple math. And yet Wilson still turned sarcastic after the game, suggesting Boston had a special whistle because she drew 13 attempts. The irony? Wilson practically invented the special whistle in games 1 through 3, piling up freebies while bullying Fever defenders who couldn't breathe near her without hearing a whistle. The difference in Game 4 wasn't favoritism. It was Indiana finally flipping the script.
I gotta go back and look at the tape, but it seemed like there was a lot of grabbing and holding down there. That got called one way. Anything else? I did appreciate it was a little tighter called, but tighter on both ends would have been nice.
Let's zoom out. The foul totals across the series are almost identical between both teams. That alone proves Game 4 wasn't some grand conspiracy. It was balance finally correcting itself. Indiana stopped settling for jumpers and made a concerted effort to attack the paint. That's not favoritism, that's textbook basketball. So why the theatrics from Vegas? Because when the Aces lose, the easiest scapegoat isn't their own execution, it's the officials. But peel back the narrative. Vegas didn't drop Game 4 because the refs betrayed them. They lost because Indiana hunted mismatches, forced constant defensive rotations, and made the Aces guard every inch of the floor. The result? 3 Vegas starters sitting on 5 fouls, not because of bias, but because they simply couldn't keep up. Add in Becky Hammond's costly mistake, calling a timeout she didn't have, and the Fever suddenly had an extra point and possession in crunch time. That wasn't robbery by referees. That was Vegas cracking under pressure, and Indiana cashing in.
So many other plays where it felt like Asia was bullying other players on the Fever. And I want you to watch this play here with Lexie Hall. She's standing her ground. She's trying to down screen, and Asia just chucks her to the ground. Now, there was no whistle there, and you can see ref number 16 right there. He's watching the whole thing happen. No whistle. They just kind of let it go.
Strip away the excuses, and Game 4's tantrum rings hollow. The Aces weren't victims of some anti-Vegas conspiracy. They were outmuscled in the paint, beaten on the glass, and outworked by a team missing half its roster. That so-called special whistle Aja Wilson complained about? It wasn't special at all. It was simply Indiana playing special basketball, attacking with purpose, and finally forcing the Aces to defend every possession.
Megan had 4.
What? Oh my God, that's interesting. That's what I was looking at. So we'll do this. We got some juices.
By interesting, do you mean that shit?
Yeah, I can drink. I got a brand. But
You say it, I have no brand.
yeah, it's but we'll be good.
You heard that right. Lexie Hull didn't sugarcoat a thing. She put the spotlight exactly where it belonged, on Aaliyah Boston, the anchor who locked down Aja Wilson from start to finish. No theatrics, no exaggeration, just facts. Sure, the box score says Wilson scored 31, but every bucket came through a gauntlet of resistance. Boston contested every shot, cut off every drive, and made her work for every inch. Nothing came easy, and while she was shutting down the league's MVP, Boston dominated the other end too, dropping 24 points, hauling in 14 boards, and dishing 5 assists. That's not just defense, that's control. She dictated the flow, turned Wilson's night into a grind, and then punished Vegas with buckets of her own.
What do you think of the job Aaliyah's been doing this series?
I mean, she's a force in the paint, and we wouldn't have won last night's game, any of our games without her. So I'm proud of her ability to be consistent and continuing to impact the game, not only offensively, but her ability to impact Asia's game defensively has been huge for us this series.
Analysts couldn't look away. One called Aaliyah Boston's performance tremendous, marveling at her ability to set bone-rattling screens, seal defenders deep, finish strong inside, and then sprint back to anchor the defense, all without ever losing composure. That's the kind of two-way dominance Indiana hasn't witnessed since the Tamika Catchings era. When your young center is making the reigning MVP scrap for every crumb just to stay afloat, you know you've got something truly special. Special.
Hull getting back to Young. Young, 3 to shoot, bounces. Lloyd gets swallowed up by Boston.
Now 2-point game. Boston plants herself in the lane, finishes through contact, and adds the foul. But she wasn't carrying the moment alone. Kelsey Mitchell was electric, dropping 25 points with every jumper sharper than the last. And when the game tightened, she calmly stepped to the line, knocking down free throws as Gainbridge Fieldhouse thundered with MVP chants. Think about the poetry of that. A player overlooked for years, the one who carried this franchise through its bleakest seasons, now standing at center stage in a roaring arena, her name lifted like a coronation. That wasn't just scoring, it was vindication.
Coming off the on ball, getting her feet set. 2-point game, Boston center of the lane. finishes plus the foul. Oh.
Then came Lexie Hull. By most accounts, she wasn't even supposed to be logging heavy minutes. After being body slammed by Aja Wilson earlier in the series, she was nursing a sore back that begged for rest. But instead of bowing out, Hull reinvented herself as Indiana's defensive heartbeat. She hounded Jackie Young from baseline to baseline, picked off 4 steals, grabbed 7 rebounds, and even chipped in 7 points. But the story wasn't her stat line. It was her defiance. She refused to fade into the background. Hull dove for every loose ball, threw herself into scrums, and set the emotional tone that the Fever would not be bullied out of this series. Her grit became the spark that turned Indiana's resilience into something undeniable.
Mitchell dances, takes, and connects with Lloyd coming in. Backdoor, Mitchell lays it in on a beautiful delivery from Boston, plus the foul.
And her ability to contest.
Mitchell burying the three. Here's Mitchell. Mitchell able to hit.
Stitch of it.
Mitchell stops and hits. And this thing today, Mitchell splits the...
Everyone expected Boston and Mitchell to shine, but Odyssey Sims delivered the surprise spark. After a nightmare outing in Game 3, she roared back with 18 points on 6 of 9 shooting, reclaiming her rhythm in dramatic fashion. Even her lone 3-point attempt dropped, landing like a dagger in Vegas's momentum. What really set her apart were her fearless drives, slicing through defenders and forcing the aces into scrambled rotations. That opened the floor for Boston and Mitchell to thrive. It was the textbook bounce back. Redemption written in real time when the Fever needed it most.
In fewer games, as Hull knocks it away, and it stays inbound.
That's the second time that Hull has saved the layup with her weak side help defense.
Shea Petty in off the bench. Stephanie White liked the way she battled in Game 3. Boston gives it up. Mitchell with Wilson switched on her. Now Young gets back. Hull connects on a 3.
Quietly but critically, Shaw Petty supplied her veteran calm. 7 points, 2 steals, and countless possessions where she slowed the chaos, read the floor, and gave Indiana the composure it desperately needed. Those sequences don't make the highlight reels, but they're the glue that wins playoff games. Every time Vegas tried to rattle the Fever, Petty's steadiness kept the ship from drifting. Piece by piece, Indiana dismantled every doubt stacked against them. Boston clamped the MVP. Mitchell lit up the scoreboard. Hull sacrificed her body. Sims delivered redemption. And Petty, the veteran hand, steadied the wheel. Together, they proved that we over me, Boston's mantra, wasn't a slogan for press conferences. It was the identity, the heartbeat, and the foundation of this team's fight.
Yeah, obviously you were 0 for 7 on Friday. Just what did you do in these 2 days to kind of have a kind of bounce back, or what mindset were you coming into this game?
Just leave that game where it is. It's the past. Focus on today. Just didn't change my mindset. Didn't change anything besides just being more aggressive, making sure we got to beat the ball. I mean, nobody can stop her down there. Loved her aggression today. When we carry it over on Tuesday, keep it going so we can get to the final.
Vegas. One night. Win and you're in, lose and it's over. After Indiana shook Gainbridge Fieldhouse to its core with a Game 4 stunner, the battleground shifts to Michelob Ultra Arena. It's a place that devours visiting teams, tight space, deafening fans, and a defending champion fighting to protect its crown. The Fever know the storm they're about to walk into, 40 minutes of pressure, noise, and legacy. History looms heavy. Indiana sits just one victory from its first finals berth in 10 years. A decade of frustration, mediocrity, and rebuilding now rests on one game. Back in 2015, Caitlin Clark was still in high school, Aaliyah Boston was years from becoming a star, and Kelsey Mitchell was only starting her college path. Now, it's their turn to carry the Fever forward, rewriting the identity of a once-forgotten franchise.
Awesome. I mean, you've seen obviously our fan base grow, but there's fans that have been here the whole time. There's players, I mean, Kelsey's been here forever, her whole career. So to be able to kind of be in this moment and appreciate where we've come and where we're continuing to go, this is the best time to be in the Fever franchise.
But Las Vegas isn't about to fold. Aja Wilson just became the youngest player ever to reach 1,000 career playoff points. And no one doubts she'll storm into Game 5 with a mission to erase the sting of Boston locking her down in Game 4. Expect Wilson to come out firing, attacking from the opening tip, forcing contact, and daring the refs to blow the whistle. Becky Hammond's game plan will be simple. Ride Wilson until Indiana's front court cracks. The Fever already know the counter. Their formula was on full display in Game 4. Aaliyah Boston dominated both ends, 24 points, 14 rebounds, and 5 assists, while forcing Wilson into one contested shot after another. Kelsey Mitchell stepped in as the closer, pouring in 25 points and sealing the win at the stripe. Odyssey Sims rebounded from her Game 3 nightmare with 18 points, her drives ripping Vegas's defense apart. And Lexie Hull, playing through a sore back, fought like a warrior. 7 rebounds, 4 steals, and endless pressure that pushed Jackie Young out of rhythm. That was the blueprint. Toughness inside, balanced scoring, and defense sharp enough to make even the aces scratch and claw for everything.
The biggest thing for us is again, like we've been through everything. So being in these types of situations isn't new to us. It's when we've been at our best, and we've got to continue to be. This group really just rallies around one another. The desperation and the urgency that we play with when we're in those positions has been exactly what we need, and we've just got to bottle that up and take it with us. I mean, it's a one-game season right now, and we got to carry it all over.
Game 5 will hinge on matchups and execution. Boston versus Wilson is the heavyweight battle everyone's watching, but Kelsey Mitchell may be the true swing piece. If she can handle Vegas's traps and double teams, Indiana's offense will keep humming. If not, possessions could grind to a halt. Lexie Hull's health looms large as well. Her defense on Jackie Young might not grab headlines, but it could decide key stretches. Head coach Stephanie White framed it perfectly. The desperation and urgency we play with in those moments has been exactly what we need. That mindset has become Indiana's trademark. Where others see pressure, they've shown resilience. Where opponents expect collapse, they've delivered fight. Vegas will lean on pride, Wilson's pedigree, and a home crowd ready to roar. Indiana will counter with belief, balance, and grit. One more night of that belief, and the Fever could rewrite history.
One game away from the finals, where you came from, in August when people were going down with injuries. I mean, how do you wrap your head around that, knowing that there's still work to be done?
Yeah, honestly, for me, all the credit has to go to God. Seriously, I mean, just thinking about where we are right now, just like you said, we lost people to injuries, and no one stepped down, no one dropped their heads. But I think Steph and the entire staff just did a great job of us telling us, like, listen, it doesn't matter who's in this locker room, it's about who's in here, and we're going to do everything we can to be successful, and we just kept working.
The Indiana Fever aren't just surviving, they're rewriting the definition of what it means to compete under the brightest lights. No Caitlin Clark, key players limping through injuries and dismissed by analysts at every turn. And still, this team refuses to fold. Aaliyah Boston held down the paint, Kelsey Mitchell sealed games with fearless shot-making, and Lexie Hull showed pure toughness, answering Aja Wilson's tantrums with hustle and grit that Vegas couldn't match. Now everything rides on one game, finals berth or heartbreak. But here's the truth. Win or lose, Indiana has already changed the conversation. This isn't the old Fever stumbling at the bottom of the league. This is a team that embraces doubt, feeds on pressure, and dares to flip the balance of power in women's basketball. If you're fired up for the Fever, drop fired up in the comments. Like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next chapter. Click the video now. We'll see you there.